Welcome, everyone, to our next talk as part of CPO Mastery Conference, where we're joined by Surojit Chatterjee, who is the Chief Product Officer at Coinbase. Our talk today will focus on three themes: the role of product in enabling disruptive technologies, core PM skill set, and navigating your product career. Surojit, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Super excited to be here as well, Mo.
Awesome. I'd love to kick it off by learning a little bit about your journey in product. You've held product leadership roles at Google, Flipkart, and now Coinbase. Could you please briefly share what you did at Google, Flipkart, and a little bit of a snapshot of your current role at Coinbase?
Absolutely. Very happy to. So let me start with Google. I spent over 12 years at Google. Did a couple of different things. I founded and led Google's mobile search ads product and team, and also led Google's shopping team. Both businesses grows tens of billions of dollars in revenue for Google. So very lucky to have led some of the biggest businesses at Google. At Flipkart, I led product design and product operations teams. And Coinbase, my role is very similar. I lead our product team, design team, and what we call strategic programs or program management as well.
What excites you about the crypto space, and why did you decide to move to this space from Google?
Look, when I worked at Google and I worked on ad side of Google almost the entire time, I felt I was doing something to change the world. Google Ads was democratizing advertising. And as you know, advertising was dominated by, before Google came in, kind of suit wearing Madison Avenue folks. And crypto, when I looked at crypto democratizes all of finance. And I kind of like it when the nerds win. So that was my inspiration.
Awesome. We've seen an explosion of interest in the crypto space, and this is amplified by companies like Tesla and MasterCard expressing interest in the field. Where do you see the next phase of growth coming from in the crypto space?
Yeah, three areas in my mind. One, I think the institutional interest will continue to grow. We have seen last year and a half, a lot of institutions have invested in crypto, hedge funds, pension funds, corporations, endowment funds. And we are seeing increasing interest. The whole industry is seeing interest from institutions. Number two, I think DeFi or decentralized finance is already on a tear, already over $40 billion of value locked in DeFi protocols. So I think that will continue to drive growth in crypto. And then the last thing I think is crypto is going to enter more of a utility phase. Traditionally it has been an investment vehicle, a vehicle for hedging against inflation and so forth. But you can just see Tesla just announced they will accept Bitcoin for Tesla purchases. MasterCard is working on crypto. Visa is working on crypto. So we'll see more of those payments, commerce use cases. We are seeing remittances. There is movement in remittances space, and there can be disruptive product built on crypto for remittance, making remittances easier. And people are tokenizing everything from art and other like real estate and so forth. So all of this innovation will bring crypto more to its kind of real utility phase that originally people had imagined it would do. And I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. Now, moving on to our module on core product management skills. You've had the opportunity to hire and develop many PMs. What sets apart the strongest PMs from the rest?
Great question. I think of three things. First, great PMs must have an obsession for building better customer experience, period. Like user experience, customer experience should trump everything. Second, they must have this ability to inspire people with their vision and at the same time be flexible enough to go into the details. So I kind of think about this as, like United States Marines or something. You can fly the airplane and jump into the ground for hand-to-hand combat when needed. And then third thing is strong collaboration and influencing skills. Product managers often don't manage a lot of people. They get they influence people, they get work done through their influencing skill, collaboration skills. So that is absolutely essential. So obsession with customer experience, inspire and get into details, and strong collaboration.
Awesome. Love it. Now, when you think about what key metric do you use to measure the success of product teams at Coinbase? How do you know the teams are doing well? Do you subscribe to the philosophy of the North Star metric? And if so, what is Coinbase's North Star?
Uh, Going back to the obsession with the user, the metrics we look at are all user adoption type metrics. So things like verified users, monthly transacting users. We look at trading volume, so that tells us how users are interacting with our platform, assets on platform. So those are some of the key metrics. Of course, every team also focus on a set of what I call input and output metrics. Because if you look at, for example, conversion as a metric, that's an output metric. You need to really focus on the drivers of conversion. Same with revenue, which is an output metric. And this was kind of championed by Amazon and others in the early days, the whole concept of input and output metrics. We also set quarterly goals. So we call them OKRs. This is Google and other companies in the Valley have championed the concept of OKRs, objectives and key results. So we set quarterly OKRs and then review those mid-quarter and end of quarter. That kind of tells us how the teams are doing. One of the trick in setting OKR is to set very ambitious OKR and be kind of slightly more lenient in grading. So we do this thing where, and this is something that Google also uses actually. If you set very ambitious OKR and if you achieve at least 70% of it, we still think you did great, and it's still green. And that has actually really helped us keep pushing the bar higher and higher. And then the final thing on subscribing to North Star philosophy, Coinbase is a very mission-oriented company. And our mission is to create an open financial system for everyone in the world. So absolutely, we always think through what is the long-term goal when we are building a product, and why are we building it? So that's a question we are always trying to first hone in on. Why are we building this product? It should not be just for a tactical reason. There should be a long-term purpose to it. It should connect to our vision and mission as a company.
Yeah, it's very unique. Coinbase's career page has a 16-minute video on the vision, which I thought was very unique. Now, moving on to our next module on disruptive technologies. When thinking about the portfolio of bets that you're making at Coinbase, how do you think about allocating resources to existing products versus new innovations? And is that portfolio mix different at Coinbase as opposed to your previous companies?
Yeah, so we use a 70-20-10 framework, which I think many tech companies probably use. What it means is 70% of the resources are dedicated to core products that already have product market fit, already in the market, but we still need to keep working on them. 20% is for strategic products, and then 10% for venture bets. So that's kind of roughly our product portfolio allocation. Of course, it's rough numbers. It can be 65 or 60, not 70, and so on. In other companies, I used a very similar framework at Google. In fact, Google famously talks about the 70-20-10 framework as well. And then when I was at Flipkart, I found this framework it's very useful. It's very simple. I'm a huge fan for simplicity. There are, of course, a lot more complex stuff you can do, and then nobody kind of understands them after a while. So keep it simple, and that has worked for me.
Awesome. I love the simplicity of it. And I love that you've tried it at various companies and it's been working quite well at all these major companies. So launching and scaling category defining products from scratch isn't easy. How do you keep your teams motivated to work towards a product vision?
Yeah, and a great question. And this is probably very relevant for crypto and Coinbase. As you know, crypto kind of goes through ups and downs cycle.
Yeah.
So now it's crypto is doing really well. Bitcoin prices are going high. I'm sure there'll be a crypto winter waiting somewhere in the corner in the future. And it's the nature of markets. Every market goes through ups and downs. So there's nothing unusual. I think the key is to make sure that people understand what they're working on is for a longer term purpose. So I always try to make sure our product vision is tied to that higher purpose. And that's really, for us, it's our company's vision to create more economic freedom for everyone in the world. That's kind of a time, if you think about it, it's a little bit of a timeless vision. Right? It reminds me of Google's mission as well, right? Organizing world's information and make it useful and accessible, also a timeless mission. I think companies that have this kind of timeless vision or mission, it helps people to get through intermittent ups and downs and keep focusing on that long-term goal. And that's what I have seen at Coinbase as well. People are inspired towards that longer-term vision and mission we have, and they can, there will be a high day and a low day, just like every startup goes through, and you have to kind of take it on your stride and keep focusing
I
on
love,
scale.
I love that. So have a timeless mission to get you through the peaks and valleys because they will happen for sure.
Absolutely.
So many companies struggle with alignment and making sure that all the teams are pointing in the right direction. You've managed teams of 1,000+ employees. What are some best practices that you use to make sure that everyone's aligned on the right direction?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 points, 3 things. First, and most important probably, you absolutely have to start with why. And that why is a common sense of purpose that everybody understands and everybody can repeat in the company. And I talked about our why, our vision and mission. I'll give you examples. For example, in my previous companies like Flipkart or Google, at Flipkart, it was about giving access to a wide selection of products to over a billion people, finding the best prices and wide selection of products. And that was a higher mission, and that kept the team aligned. At Google, of course, Google's overarching mission of organizing world's information, but then in the ads team, it was about democratizing advertising. And that was a purpose that kept people together. And Coinbase, we are working on creating more economic freedom for the world. I think this is very important, and you have to keep repeating that also in every opportunity you get internally. It's actually interesting how many times you have to actually keep saying it, even though it seems a little stale after you say a few times in the company. But your employees need to feel that you are really living up to that mission and vision. Number 2 in my mind is you have to help the team connect the dots with clear communication. So every team is working on some parts of the product, and you have to, as a leader, help be able to articulate how your product portfolio come together and help make progress towards that one common purpose. So, and again, communication is the key. So for example, we do an all hands with my entire team every month, where not just me, but team members and leads, they do product demos and talk about product innovation, and again, try to connect those dots and how all the products we are building connect to the purpose. And then we do a quarterly OKR planning, and that also helps teams aligned. And then the last thing I'll mention, number 3, is you have to really demonstrate you deeply care. And you have to care and demonstrate that you care. And by that, what I mean is you have to care about, 1, your users of the product, and 2, you have to care about the people building the product. And people can tell if you truly care or you are just making it up or going through the motions. And if they see you care both about the product and the users and the people building the product, they get energized and come together.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Moving to the last portion around general career advice for product managers. So looking back, what's led you to be successful in your career? What advice do you have for product managers that are early in their career?
All right. I'll talk about a couple of things. First, try out something new and reinvent yourself every few years. This is really important. So it can be a new job, it can be a new role in the same company, but as long as you are learning something new every few years, you know you are on the right path. Do not worry about the exact compensation or the title or other things. Focus on learning something new. I know this sounds cliched, but that has actually worked for me. I'll say number two is a certain amount of grit is really important. Resilience is really important because every success, and by the way, success is always relative, but whatever we call success is always preceded by far more failures. I mean, I've had many. We can talk about them another time. It'll take many hours probably. But you have to have the ability to bounce back, learn from your mistakes. So that's really, really important. And I'll say the last thing here is be generous with your time with others and kind of as generous as possible. What I mean by that is always think how you can add value to others without expecting anything in return. Some people call it networking. I think of networking is not just talking to people, but actually committing to helping people. Because the relationships you build through generously helping people is the ones that will carry you through your career in unexpected ways. And that has happened to me in many, many occasions. And my wife always jokes with me that I have this extracurricular every weekend, that there will be few of my previous employees or colleagues or acquaintances will call me, ask for career advice, or they want to hire people, some help, whatever it is. And all of this is may seem like, oh, it's just a waste of time. It is not. It comes back to you. And the important thing is you don't count how many times you helped whom. You need to just be open and generous, and it will happen. It'll come back to you in some way.
Amazing. It's so refreshing to hear such a senior leader like yourself um, doing that and practicing that, and obviously doing this talk for the future product leaders. So, if you look back at your career, knowing what you know now, how would you do things differently as a product leader?
Yeah, great question. I think the first thing will be just be more patient while hiring and wait for the best person to come along. I've seen every time I have hired someone, but there was not a, what we call a hell yes in the room, like amongst the interviewers. And if people are kind of okay, and it's okay, let's hire because we need someone in the role quickly. Every time I have done that, I've kind of suffered through it because it has not worked out well. So hire great people and be patient to find the right person for the role. I'd say number two is try more crazy ideas. The 10% venture bet that I talked about earlier, the 70-20-10 framework, the 10% is very important. Often what ends up happening, people start with that 70-20-10, and then there are emergencies and there's a lot of pressure, resource crunch. So they will put their hand into that 10 bucket and say, oh, we'll push it out by 3 more months. It's okay. Let's pause all the 10% projects for now. And then 3 months becomes 6 months and a year and so on. They never do it. But I have seen that some of the greatest unexpected hits come out of those investments. So never compromise on that 10%, and if possible, make it a little bit higher if you can. So those are the things that probably I would go back and do slightly more differently. So
Great. Awesome. So, last question is, what do you see the future of product management is in your view? Are there any trends you think PMs should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, few things. First, I think product is increasingly going to become de facto in the C-suite, and not just for tech companies. Of course, in tech companies, product always had an important role in the company. But I think even other companies you'll see in consumer product, packaged goods or other companies, product is increasingly take a more important role. And the reason for that is I think companies are realizing that product-led growth is more sustainable than purely marketing and sales-led growth. And you can see great examples are like Tesla. It's the product is good, and it's a product-led growth rather than running great ads and doing spending a lot of money in marketing. Of course, marketing is important. I love our marketing friends, but I think increasingly we'll see uh, product-led growth, revenue growth. Second, and this is something, this is more of a wish rather than it may be a trend. Um, I think there will be more, or there is need for more formal product management training and courses. I know CMU, I think, has a course on product management, like a degree, but there are not too many formal courses on product management today. It's such a multidisciplinary area. Like it cuts across engineering, design, like psychology, data science, marketing, and many other things that it probably needs a little bit of a formal education or training of its own. And I think that will happen. And then the last one is, I am again seeing some trends, but more of a wish list probably. We need better tools for product managers. So one of my pet peeves is that there is no good tool in the market today to manage all the launches we do. At Google, there was a LaunchCal internally built tool, actually, which was pretty good. But most companies struggle through it because you need, how do you know, for example, how do you keep track that legal, compliance, security all approved every launch? And when you're a multi-product company, so again, you can manage it through spreadsheets and documents, but it becomes unmanageable. And that's just one example. As we go into this kind of a remote world, working remotely, uh, given that product management is a highly collaborative function, like you have to work with, by the nature of the job, with everyone in the company, I think there'll be more interesting, useful collaboration tools will emerge that help product managers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Surojit, for taking
Yeah.
the time to share your knowledge with us today. I'd like to thank our global audience who've tuned in from around the world. And I'd like for our audience to give Surojit a big virtual round of applause. Thank you, Surojit.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back for additional talks. Don't go anywhere. And thanks so much, Surojit, for your time again. See ya.